All right, so now we just heard a story about the abnormal. This story that Black Dahlia is about to, indulge us with, this one affects both of us, and it's you can definitely call it abnormal, but I put it under the category of paranormal as well, and this is the one I like to call the Indiana Sasquatch. So this one is, it's interesting, and it's wild as hell. And
I'm actually very excited to talk about this.
Yeah,
I get so serious when I talk about my wrestling career, and I'm so uncomfortable and awkward when I talk about Dahlia or my experiences with wrestling, because the screw job.
Yeah, the screw job. That's what we call it. Yeah.
Our screw job was very, very wrestling related,
Yeah.
Now
this one is just straight up nothing.
Goosebumps.
I mean, this.
I love these stories. The next episode, I will touch on the Sasquatch or the Bigfoot. But our next episode, I'm going to be so thrilled to record.
Oh, I know. That one's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right.
So this story, now this comes back from us, like you just heard, we're back from Los Angeles. We're in the Indiana woods. And I'm going to start it with, so on the weekends, it's a campground. On the weekends, this place is full of people. And there's nothing weird going on, just, people. That's it. People all around, neighbors all around. But throughout the week, there's nobody there because everybody live in normal houses and they go and do their own thing. Well, however, we're not at the time, and we're staying there and living there throughout the week. So we're not there just on the weekends, but we're there throughout the week. And throughout the week, ain't nobody around, and it's just us, at least on this side of the campground.
Yeah.
And throughout the week, I smell this horrendous smell. It's strong. It's overwhelming. It's extremely powerful. It's a gross, nasty-ass smell, and it just kind of overpowers everything.
And the smell is not there when people are there.
Never.
We cannot, I can't stress this enough.
So, I started noticing this smell, and then this is where things start to get weird, and I'll let, Dahlia go on and take it from there.
I have such weird luck, guys. I literally have begged and pleaded with my psychic, what is wrong with me? And what'd she call it? What is the effect?
Oh, shooting star. It's like...
Oh, Nathaniel. Okay, yes, I'm a lighthouse. I'm a shooting star. But no, what is the effect I have? If anything can happen, it will happen.
Oh, that's just Murphy's Law.
Dude, I have the strangest luck ever. She said, I asked my fortune teller, I was like, please, I don't want anything. I don't, how can I get rid of the negative? She said, oh, unfortunately, you're the lighthouse, you're gonna draw, the negative is attracted to you just as the light. But so this is what I'm gassing up for, guys. Imagine me, just a little 5'2" little girl, 2 hard casts. Yes, hard casts, as in you can't walk on them, or on both of my feet. And I'm just man, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm injured. I have torn ligaments. I'm in 2 hard casts. Literally, I can't get out of bed. I can't defend myself. If someone came in, it's okay, you're going to kill me.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of this woods on this campground, and my parents aren't there. My mom was a travel nurse at the time. And so I'm literally alone. I have no friends, no family, no one coming to see me. I have no cell reception. I can't get on. I have no internet, no TV. I'm there with a book. And Nathaniel, at the time, you were working, what was it, a 2 to 10?
My schedule at that time was 2 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Mind you, Nathaniel was working in Ohio at the time. We were on the state line.
45 minutes away.
And that's just a direct shot. So it's virtually almost like an hour drive on these backcountry roads.
Yeah.
So
full of cornfields and, bumps and potholes.
You would get off at 10 or 11. Which one was it?
I'd get off at 11.
You get off at 11. So he's coming home by midnight. So I'm alone in hard cast. I can't protect myself. I can't run and to save my life. So I'm in this summer house,
which is a camper,
virtually a camper. It has added on,
yeah, they built a house around a camper.
There you go. So I'm in the bed, and we've noticed these experiences because, again, my family is not in town. We're here for the summertime, and around Thursday, people start coming in. Friday, everyone's there. Saturday, Sunday, but then after Sunday evening, everyone leaves. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
It's just us.
it's dead. It's so spooky. It's such a setup for Camp Crystal Lake moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's dead quiet. No one's around. And I noticed outside, like Nathaniel noticed, there's like this wet dog smell, garbage smell. You can't, you don't know if it's the sewer, and it's not. I can't, I have a very hard time pinpointing this distinct odor because it's not the sewer line. It's not the actual garbage outside. It's not like a landfill or anything. It virtually everything I just listed mixed with wet dog is the odor I smell when no one's around. And you know that feeling when you feel like someone's watching you? Well, we're surrounded by the wilderness, and I always felt like someone was in the woods watching me, and I'm like, okay, well, this is spooky. So again, I have the worst luck ever. I'm put in 2 hard casts, and I'm just on bed rest, and Nathaniel is at work, and this would always happen at the same time. There would be no one around in the middle of the week. I'm all alone, no phone service. Like, I have to put it up next to the window, next to the bed, just to get like 1 bar if I wanted to call out and like try to call Nathaniel. And it was always around, I dare say, 10 p.m. when weird stuff would happen outside. And what I mean by that is the bed is up next to the window, and I could hear outside, and I always heard like footsteps and walking throughout the woods. And then eventually it escalated to banging on this summer house, and I would hear banging, and it would just terrify me. And then when it became a climax to the point where I was screaming and calling Nate, something big and massive was shaking the trailer park of the summer house, which was where I was up, the RV part. And
I mean, and everybody out there's familiar with an RV. Like, it takes, you know, like they're thin, so it would take nothing like to tear through one if something like what we think is a Sasquatch wanted to get in.
So I have 2 hard casts on my feet. I'm not able to, I'm army crawling, like just freaking out. I put the phone up next to the window to get reception to call Nathaniel. He's at work, and I'm like, Nathaniel, you have to get here. You have to get here. Because it's one thing to smell something. It's one thing to feel like something's watching you. It's one thing to hear footsteps outside, or it could have been an animal in the woods. Like, it's one thing if something's in the woods and not messing with you, but when something's actually like banging and shaking the house you're in, I'm like, holy crap, this is a big thing. Because I have my theories like that people like to mess with me, that do not like me, and I was like, okay, this is probably this person, and he will remain unnamed, but probably the same person that put the screw in our tire. But so I have you on the phone just crying and begging you to get there, and you well, you can tell this part.
So she calls me, like I'm at work and I have responsibilities at this job. Like I'm a manager essentially at this time. And she calls me, she tells me what's going on. And see, there had been other occasions leading up to this to where we heard knocking out in the woods. You know, they talk about Sasquatch will claim their territory by picking up a stick and like banging it on a tree. So I'd heard knockings, I'd smelled this smell, and there'd been some weird things like that. So when she called me, like, I was like, oh my God. Now I couldn't run and tell my manager over me, like, hey, there's a Bigfoot attacking, you know, the Dahlia back in an RV. I had to go basically,
this long-haired hillbilly.
Yeah, exactly. I had to go give some bull crap to my manager. I'm 45, 50 minutes away. I hop in this Nissan Murano that we've been talking about, jump in it. I do 55, 65 miles an hour on these back roads on the, you know, I'm talking cornfields, potholes, like I said. It's like roller coaster roads, all kinds of crazy turns, and I am flying, man. And I don't drive like that. But this is serious, and I keep her on the phone, and the entire time I'm on the phone with her, she's talking about the knocking and the banging all around this, you know, this camper. And, you know, this is terrifying. And, like, my adrenaline's rushing. I keep a baseball bat in the Murano, so I show up, and I fly as the gate opens. I come rolling in, man. And I drive this Murano as far back past the RV as I can and as close to the woods as I can. I got the brights on. I jump out with the baseball bat, and I walk around. Now, it's still dark. I don't see anything, and I don't hear anything.
But you smell it.
I smell it. I smell the wet dog smell. And I'm like, okay, you know, because that's spooky. But I don't see or hear anything. So after a couple minutes been out there, I backed the Murano up into the front of the RV where we park it at in the driveway, and I look around and stuff. I still don't see or hear anything, but I still smell this smell. Get inside, and then the banging happens again. And it's this weird banging sound, like somebody is taking a stick, a piece of wood or something, and just banging it against something.
Yeah.
And I ran out one more time, and I still didn't see anything. And it was one of the most, like, I get chills talking about it, because this is nothing I could or would make up. Like, this was one of the most wild-ass experiences I ever endured.
I love to be so open-minded, because, of course, like, your first thought is not, oh, it's a Bigfoot. The first thought is some dumbass redneck is fucking with us.
Yeah, some inbred piece of trash, yeah.
And to conclude, it's like, it could have been anything. It could have been anyone, but with all the facts lined up,
yeah,
it does lead to more so.
It's a Sasquatch, because there was a couple of things that happened, over the summer like that. Nothing like that drastic, but I do remember there was one night that there was a noise or something outside. I did take a chainsaw outside, and I did hear something scurry off into the woods.
You've been waiting for that moment your entire life. You
have no idea.
Nathaniel is just not a mark for. You're not only a mark for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you literally are like, just think, guys, in the middle, in complete darkness in a woods. What are two spooky things that would, like, absolutely terrify you if you heard? One, a child's laughter, obviously, because that's satanic, and then very demonic. And then two, I mean, what would you do if you just randomly heard a freaking chainsaw start up? That would
terrifying.
The strongest man in the world would piss himself.
I take my chances with the chainsaw going one-on-one with Sasquatch, but man, that was it was just a wild experience, and it's a unique
I wish there was
story.
More of a climax. We saw something.
I do too, but I mean that's.
But to conclude, though, if it was a human, if the person was a human, you would have ran into the person, you would have saw them, you would have heard them running off.
Yeah, that's true. And now granted, I never saw any Sasquatch foot tracks, but I never saw any human foot tracks either. So what it was, I'm just always going to go with the idea it was a Sasquatch because of the smells and the knockings and just, the weird shaking and the sounds. To this day, that's what I'm going to go with. But I just know that was, like we talked about in the first story with the screw, and then, this happened with the Squatch. It was a unique and interesting couple of experiences that we endured. And, Black Dahlia, I thank you for not only helping me come up with the idea and the concept of wrestling with the abnormal and paranormal, but thank you for showing up on this part 1 episode. And I can't wait for next week's part 2 episode. So I appreciate you for telling your story and for sharing all of this.
Of course. I know we've been meaning to do this for a couple years now, and we wanted to make it a proper podcast, wanted to buy the equipment, but this is a good start, Nathaniel, and I'm really happy for you, and I'm glad to finally make my presence known.
Hell yeah. All right, man, and that's awesome, and you guys wait for next week's episode, and
it's gonna be better. It's gonna
be fun. That one is straight up paranormal. It's not abnormal. That one is nothing but paranormal, and she has some really good stories for that one, so be sure to tune in next week for part 2.
Normally the OG is the best, and then the sequel is like, it kind of sucks ass.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, the sequel is well worth the hype.
All right, you heard it, guys.